What's up, Doc? It is I am the one and only Bugs Bunny here, and I am Lola Bunny here. Welcome you all back for the likes of the Mexi Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more Let's Play of My Little Pony Rainbow Runners for the smartphone devices, ranging from Apple iPhones and in addition to Android, Samsung, and you name the rest. Especially considering for the fact that all of these phones are all touchscreen basically, so you get the idea for this point. So anyways, last time, we somehow managed able to win through even more stages, and as a matter of fact, we did somehow manage able to get started with some harder stages now. Yep, and as a matter of fact though, Bugs, it's about the fact that we've only got about exactly 8 more stages to go until we wrapped up everything in terms of Rainbow Runners game. And speaking of which, is that today for this video is that this is gonna be the true finale of our Let's Play of My Little Pony Rainbow Runners. And as a matter of fact though, it's about the fact that each and every single remaining stages are all basically difficult stages as a matter of fact. So because of this though, and this also means it's about the fact that this will actually be the last time we're going to be playing as not only Twilight Sparkle, but in addition to Fluttershy, and not only that though, Pinkie Pie, Applejack, and meanwhile when it comes to both Rarity and Rainbow Dash, we're only going to be playing as them for about 2 more times. So because of this though, yeah, with that being said though, Bugs, is that we are about to be getting to it with the final 8 stages in the whole entire game before we conclude every aspect. Well, mind you, I might as well say this again anyway, that I don't think it's possible we can able to fully level up every single characters, unfortunately, just because we usually getting quite good at it for the most part. I mean, despite the fact that we've only come across into 2 deaths so far. And no matter what though, I could imagine if we were able to actually dare try to go on to the harder stages throughout. This means about the fact that there's going to be a lot of emphasis on trial and error sometimes. Especially considering for the fact that, well, yeah, every once in a while it's about the fact that there's going to be a lot of hazards around here. And not only that though, like we've already mentioned about this before, since in around 6 days ago, obviously though, certain stages can go by a little bit longer at this point, so this also means about the fact that every time if you do manage to screw up, you have to go for this whole entire ordeal all over again. Yeah, because of this though, it's about the fact that sometimes though, that, you know, we're occasionally about to get messed up sometimes, but either way, so anyways though, so yeah, a few things we want to talk about this is though, and that's what it appears to be for the fact that, well, today's day is of course there is the 11th of October today, in some cases in 2025 today, and no matter what though, ever since yesterday, thanks to Sonic did somehow beat us to it, is that yes, happy 15th anniversary of the show's release of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. And while looking back on it though, specifically in the very beginning era, when it comes to Friendship is Magic as a TV series itself, it still looks pretty fun, especially considering for the fact that, like we've already established that in the past, that G4 is definitely the best incarnation in terms of the forms of something My Little Pony related, because unlike, you know, Generation 1, 2, 3, 3.5, and recently Generation 5, nothing really sticks out to me as much compared to the forms of how it does and how superior G4 was. I mean, sure, every once in a while, some opinions have been changed lately, for the sake of the forms of Season 8 to be one of the worst seasons of the entire show, just because of all that friendship of school was now a thing, and not only that though, some stories are pretty, insignificant in some episodes, like for instance though, non-compete clause, and not only that though, Haggity Sack, and as a result, both of those episodes in particular are very unbearable to watch. Yeah, I can agree with you for the sake of time though, Bugs Bunny, especially because, well, have we already got the actual plots from any other episodes a while back, or anything else like that? Well, I don't know about you, Lola Bunny, but it has been about quite a few days since we've last rewatched some episodes of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, although mind you though, for the fact that at this point in time, that recently though, did you guys know it's Maxi's 28th birthday today? Which, as a matter of fact though, yeah, we, no matter what though, we actually got all kinds of goodies for our special day today, and as a result, we're able to point things out that yes, we've somehow managed to finally get ourselves the third version of Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, which as a result, yes, we've now got the Xbox version now, meaning not only Xbox One, but in addition to Xbox Series X version as well. And not only that though, Bugs Bunny, it's a good thing we did manage to able to already got the actual £25 voucher for the Xbox pounds voucher for the actual store. So just in case for the fact that yes indeed, we've also basically got the season pass for the Xbox systems right now. So because of this though, and as a matter of fact though, Bugs, I suppose that will basically take us a break for potentially trying to get ourselves the DLC. Well, it wasn't until specifically though that the next bunch of DLC is going to be on its way for not only with Pac-Man World 2 Repack within both Switch 1 as well as the Xbox systems, but in addition to that though, Dragon Ball Sparking Zero, if again, which one of those versions we might as well go for? Well, I've noticed about the fact that the Switch 2 version, unfortunately though, for physical version, is going to be these stupid game keycard releases, which it still feels a bit super mind-numbing to me, or should I say, it just somehow baffles me, but that's besides the point. So, anywho though, so yeah, aside from all that stuff though, we also did manage to able to finally get our chance to able to get ourselves one of our next accessories for our glorious Nintendo Switch 2. Because, well, previously that we've already still got ourselves the Nintendo Switch 2 camera, and in addition to the only one Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller, and also say applies with the forms of, what else did we got for Nintendo Switch 2 just before today? Well, I can definitely tell you for sure, for one thing, there's the, Joy-Con 2 grip, but that usually comes with the system itself. So, yeah, it looks like that we somehow now finally claim ourselves the carrying case for the Nintendo Switch 2 with the Mario Kart World front cover, because I just feel like it. Plus, not only that though, we were expecting to try to able to test it out with our Nintendo Switch carrying case, but unfortunately though, things didn't go according to plan, I feel like, because for one, obviously though, the screen itself is a lot bigger, so it does barely fit, but aside from all that stuff that was about the fact that I only was trying to consider the actual main specific factor about I was expecting to try to insert the Joy-Con 2 controllers in one of those particular sections of the actual casing, but obviously though, it doesn't go according to plan either, because I'm a little bit worried about the Joy-Con 2 drifting after all, so but I digress. So, anyways though, let's get into the forms of the final 6 stages in the entire game. And if you couldn't tell already, we're going to be selecting those ponies in a backwards order, starting from Rainbow Dash all the way up to Twilight Sparkle, because considering that we're about to be saved Twilight Sparkle for last, because you know, she's the main star of course. So, anywho. So, you remember when you mentioned to me about this before, that we somehow managed able to get ourselves the season pass already, for not only with Nintendo Switch 1, but in addition to PS4, and now the Xbox systems, so, and it's also very convenient about the fact that ever since around 3 days ago, I suppose that Sonic has technically already mentioned about this, is that obviously though we've already got ourselves the first DLC pack for Sonic Racing Cross Worlds, and that's what it involves around with the Minecraft characters like, you know, Creeper, and Steve, and Alex as well. So as a result though, we've only just got about 5 DLC packs left. And I suppose next up of the whole lineup, which appears to be, of course, SpongeBob SquarePants. And as a matter of fact, until the next couple of months' time, it will be Pac-Man next. And not only that though, Mega Man is going to be up next, and the final 2 are going to be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, and Avatar Legends. So because of this though, we're still very curious to know what the characters are going to be joining in when it comes to the forms of the final 2 DLC packs. And meanwhile, when it comes to the forms of 3 DLC characters, as far as I'm aware, that we've already got ourselves Hatsune Miku early on, and oh jeez, that was a close one. Ah, dang it, I timed it way too early. Ah, jeez, there's our 3rd death of the playthrough. Yeah, that makes it pretty obvious, because the only thing I might well consider right off the bat is that with that particular moving rocks formation, as you did somehow died earlier, these things are very picky to try to go through, or to be more specifically, they're a little bit more tricky, just because of all that. Timing needs to be absolute, and not only that though, is about the fact that it's even bad enough about the fact that it might actually have some little amount of invincibility frames at one point, but next you notice about the fact that you're about to get thrashed, likely or so for about 1 or 2 seconds. So, I mean, mind you though, it has been about 6 days ago since we've last played this game for sure, because at this point in time, that Sonic still managed able to really enjoy playing through Luigi's Mansion 3 so far, and as a matter of fact though, it's about the fact that he's now on to the halfway point in terms of the story progression, although despite the fact he might go back on to the previous floors to able to try to capture some more boos and also collecting some more gems. So, and not only that though, Bugs Bunny, is about the fact that he needs to able to try to go after, well, the insane amount of money, just in case, as far as what he did say before, since around, I would say Monday or Tuesday specifically, that he's trying to go for the best ranking results by the end of the game. So, yeah, that might be sounding a bit too familiar, which even then, we're probably not going to explain things too much. So, anyway, so let's see how well we're going to be doing for the sake of time, and, so yeah, it's got to make sure for the fact that, well, when it comes to the final stretch of this whole entire game, there's going to be a lot of emphasis on trial and error if you're not paying attention to the, well, moving obstacles and all that jazz. So, although, despite the fact that we did occasionally slow down at one point, thanks to that particular hay has been laid on the floor, but luckily though, with those rainbow powers, specifically, Rain Boom, and in addition to Apple Strike, and even with, you know, Magic Attack, and not only that though, with the forms of High Bounce, those abilities are super useful, especially considering for the fact that, well, obviously, like I said before, that obviously though you'd be invincible during that time, although unlike something relates to the magnetic field and the forms of, well, super flight, obviously though, unfortunately though, those two abilities in particular does not give you invincibility, so yeah, but I digress. So now we've actually got 5 stages to go. So yeah, it seems it goes by pretty well, despite the fact that we've now stumbled across into 3 deaths so far throughout the majority of this Let's Play so far. But I suppose it really doesn't matter, because even then though, that every time if we do manage to die at one point, then obviously though we can able to still grind for some more rainbow power orbs as much as we wanted to. I mean, like I said before, I don't think it's actually going to be possible to able to fully upgrade everyone, or every pony for that matter, just because, well, at the end of the day though, it seems that so far that we've already did manage to able to max out our abilities for both Twilight Sparkle and Rarity so far, but hopefully though we can able to fully upgrade not only Applejack but also Pinkie Pie as well, because, you know, like I said as before, that those abilities in particular, including Rain Boom as well for Rainbow Dash, they all go pretty dang good. Although except with Super Flights, because obviously those Super Flights to me though is my least favorite rainbow power ability in this game, just because of all that. You know, like I said before, but this will be the last time for saying this, because obviously though it just feels a bit so unreliable to use, and suffice to say though, the controls might be felt a bit slightly awkward sometimes, but that's just me. But anyways though, let's just go ahead and try to focusing on this from now on, and let's just hope that we're not gonna mess this up. Oh, dang it. Okay, no, dang it! That was just bad. Yeah, but especially noticeable because, again, you need to be so accurate with that particular jump angles, or to be more specifically, huge emphasis on timing when it comes to, you know, pulling those jumps successfully or something like that. I mean, then again though, I do apologize for that commentary because it's a bit slightly iffy sometimes, because let's face it though, Sonic has basically already mentions about quite a number of things, thanks to the forms of Luigi's Mansion 3 Let's Play, so as a result though, there's absolutely no point for able to guarantee to able to mention about quite a number of things for the time being. Well, apart from the fact that, well, hopefully though, by that time until next month, we should be able to actually guarantee to get some even more games until next month, such as, of course, you know, Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment is up next, and meanwhile, we might also consider trying to getting ourselves Shantae Advance Risky Revolution digitally on our Nintendo Switch, so that way we can able to actually finally get a chance to obtain every single Shantae games on one specific system, which is of course Nintendo Switch. So that way we can able to play those Shantae games on the go. Yep, exactly, Bugs. Especially because we were originally decided able to, like, I do remember for one thing that Knuckles did tell me about this, is that we originally manage able to have the Shantae games on the PlayStation 4 system, right? Well, because truth be told though, it's about the fact that, at least according to what Daffy told me about this, is that we essentially moved on to the Nintendo Switch when it comes to likely access to any games anywhere we go. Especially because considering for the fact that obviously though that Nintendo Switch is still doing very well in terms of the forms of sales numbers and all that jazz, including the recent Nintendo Switch 2. Although, suffice to say though, Bugs, hopefully by that time until next month, we can definitely hear more about the forms of the financial results when it comes to not only for Nintendo Switch 1, if possible, but also the majority of the time, Nintendo Switch 2, and this also includes Donkey Kong Bonanza. So I'm really expecting to be curious of how well does Donkey Kong Bonanza will sell at when it comes to the forms of sales numbers, but hopefully though we'll find out more about it at some point at the very beginning of November if possible. So even then, I don't suppose they're probably not gonna touch upon the forms of well, as I say, I don't think they'll try to mention about the forms of Super Mario Galaxy plus Super Mario Galaxy 2 for Nintendo Switch 1 just yet, because obviously though they're only going to be addressing the financial results by the end of September basically. So yeah, that's what I was expecting. So anyway, so now let's go ahead and try to, so close, able to try to upgrade our abilities for not only Apple Strike for Applejack, but in addition to, you know, high bounce and etc, etc. And speaking of Applejack, let's go ahead and play as her for the final time, and hopefully we're not gonna mess this up, unlike the forms of how it does it for well, I felt incredibly bad for runs such as not only Fluttershy, but in addition to Pinkie Pie, Rainbow Dash, and Rarity so far throughout the majority of this Let's Play itself, because, well, they seem to have one death each run. So yeah, usually that's kind of unfortunate, because hopefully we can able to redeem ourselves when it comes to both maybe Applejack and Twilight Sparkle, because for those of you who do not know, I guess it's about few of you at this point, but basically though, between Season 1 and Season 3, that's when it comes to the forms of one of those two characters of the main 6 crew, that when it comes to the forms of the majority of those appearances, that when it comes to Season 1, that Twilight Sparkle does manage to appear in every single episode in Season 1, and then meanwhile for Applejack, that she did manage to appear in every single episode in Season 3. So, aside from all that stuff though, maybe there could be other possibilities for the sake of our luck when it comes to players not only Applejack, but in addition to Twilight Sparkle as well. I mean, we shall wait and see what happens though, Bugs, especially considering for the fact that, well, we'll have to be able to try to focus on this for the most part, especially because of all that, you know, dangerous hazards coming our way, and aside from all that stuff though, we can able to expect to realize that we're up for the challenge, so, but you get the idea. So, anyway though, and we would like to point things out that originally though, we were decided able to get the full version of Pac-Man World 3 for the PSP, but unfortunately though, for the fact that we haven't gone around into it, so because of that though, maybe for a later time though, Bugs, assuming because right now that we are still mainly trying to focusing on purchasing some new things for not only with occasional Nintendo Switch 1 stuff, but in addition to the majority of Nintendo Switch 2 stuff every once in a while. Because, you know, like I said before, the next game we're about to go after when it comes to purchasing games as far as I'm aware, which is of course Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment and also Dragon Ball Sparking Zero for Switch 2, and in addition to Kirby Air Riders, and of course, most notably, Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, because, you know, that we finally got ourselves the release date for that game, and suffice to say though, we are only going to be going after the Switch 2 version of Metroid Prime 4, because, you know, graphics looks insanely beautiful, and not only that though, because that game is going to be an open world, so as a result, and I'm pretty sure enough though, if we do manage to play it on Switch 1, it will not able to actually handle the frame rate as much when it comes to open world segments or something like that. I mean, we shall wait and see until specifically in, you know, 2 months' time at this point, so, And it's also around that time period is about the fact that we've only just got about exactly 6 months left until the Super Mario Galaxy movie is on its way, for any other regions for that matter. Oh yeah, kind of think about it though, in fact we might actually be looking forward to that film too. So yeah, once we're able to actually gone through the final film we can able to expect to see on the big screen, which is of course Zootropolis 2 or Zootopia 2 if you lived in North America. So relatively speaking, I was about the fact that we're very curious to know what the review scores is going to be turned out to be. When it comes to Zootropolis 2, well, it's not going to be until specifically until at some point in November, but hopefully we can able to guarantee for the fact that Zootropolis 2 will be pretty amazing to see for the big screen and stuff like that, which again, wish I waited to say, because sometimes though, some Disney films these days are pretty hit and miss sometimes lately because of all that. Well, let's just say, for instance though, Moana 2, despite it does have some box office success, but ultimately though, the reviews themselves are pretty mixed, especially because it's almost like something like a similar territory as in that particular Disney direct-to-video films and all that stuff, with all that nothing compared to the original syndrome. So yeah, I get the feeling what you're trying to say for the sake of time though, Bugs, especially because considering for the fact that, well, you know, the original films are pretty much masterful compared to the films of how it does it for most sequels anyway. So yeah, I can totally respect that, especially because of all that, well, timeless as far as anything else is worth considering for. So anywho though, so anyway, and it's also reassuring about this too, it's about the fact that I guess, and it wasn't until specifically until the next 5 days or so, until when it gets to the point until on the 16th of October, that obviously though that's going to be the 5th anniversary of the game's release of Mario Kart Live Home Circuit for Nintendo Switch as a digital only title, because despite the fact that it costs for free, but in order able to experience the game for reals, you still need to try to go after the RC car within either Mario or Luigi, which every once in a while when it comes to brand new condition copies, or specifically brand new sealed box versions of you know, the RC car with Mario and Luigi, it doesn't really matter what options you go for. They're going for like ridiculous amount of price when it comes to going after brand new box variations of Mario and Luigi and Mario Kart Live Home Circuit, but I wouldn't guarantee to able to try to get it personally though, because as you can definitely tell, our room itself is very small in comparison to any other most rooms these days, so but that's besides the point. So anyways, let's get into the final 2 stages right about now. So I suppose that this will be the last time we're going to be playing as Fluttershy, which, don't get me wrong, still, I love Fluttershy, but it's just that her ability feels a bit of a downfall to me, which as a result though, I mean, it could have gone a little bit better, but aside from all that stuff though, is about the fact that, like I said before, that Superfly still is my least favorite ability in the game, because, you know, the lack of invincibility, and in addition to that, controls are very too finicky for my liking. But I digress. So, I suppose we should probably able to actually get on to the actual specific topics at that point, when it comes to more specifically our final thoughts of My Little Pony Rainbow Runners. Let's just say we'll try to hold up for a moment until whenever we finish the game first, and then we're able to give ourselves our final thoughts of this whole entire game before we're able to actually end off the Let's Play like so. Oh, I guess that makes it a little bit more obvious, huh? But anyway though, but still, we have to go for exactly the same identical level design compared to the forms of the previous 4 levels that we've already experienced with. I mean, I totally get it because of how the fact that it may look like we somehow basically know exactly what's going on from point A to point B at this point. I mean, obviously though, we still need to be able to watch out for not only mud, but in addition to hay as well, including puddles themselves too, because otherwise you will slow down, so. And as to be expected though is about the fact, as you saw for the Rainbow Dash's final run, that obviously though we actually got ourselves our hearts back after keep on getting hit by those very stingy rock patterns, and what the heck? Did we somehow manage able to win through that particular hazard? Wow, I was not expecting with that particular hitbox was not usually the thing. Okay, we'll definitely take it, I suppose. So, Anyway, so that pretty much does it for that level, and we've only got one more stage to go, and that's what appears to be located at the very bottom portion of Ponyville. And suffice to say though, we'll choose Mega Bounce for Pinkie Pie to fully leveled up, and suffice to say, I think we should be all good to go for this point. Well, assuming of course if we keep on grinding for more of those Rainbow Power Orbs, which I highly doubt at this point, so either way, onwards to Twilight Sparkle for the final time throughout the entire game onto the final stage. So, yeah, I guess that makes it pretty obvious. Now, I do remember back then, despite the fact that, well, Daffy and Piglet have already told me about this, that obviously, though, the final level from them two obviously gave them a lot of struggle back then. Back in 2018, that is. And it's also around that time, too, for the fact that the actual notifications pop up. And as a result, we unfortunately have no sound whatsoever back then. Although, despite the fact that they managed to come across into 2 deaths in a row in the final stage of their run, despite the fact that, like we've already established that earlier on, that obviously though, our original Let's Play of this game is no longer there, because, you know, it needs to be improved somehow, not only for its picture quality, which, if those of you don't know, but the fact that it was all fill up the entire screen back then, for that particular 2018 version of My Little Pony Rainbow Runners, but then in 2025, as you can definitely tell already, for the fact that the actual screen resolution was actually in letterbox formation, which, as a result, it does feel a bit odd sometimes, especially because considering for the fact that the entire display was actually based off from iPhone XR. So, yeah, that's as far as I was able to try pointing things out for the sake of time, so yeah, either way. So this also means for the fact that this will be the last time we're going to be seeing those particular obstacles, such as these obstacles here. And as long as we don't die too many times, then we should be okay. So yeah, we're just able to make sure that we have to concentrate as hard compared to the forms of how it does it on well, you know, think of like the forms of one of the trickier levels in Super Mario Run, specifically the Black Coin Pipe. That's basically is almost like an inspiration of Super Meat Boy, with a whole bunch of those saw blades here and there. Oh jeez, this is the bit that you on about, right? Yeah, especially because after we somehow get fluked by that particular springy thingy right there, and luckily though we somehow survived. So as a result, if we do die at one point, we have to restart the entire stage again. But there we go. So let us watch the ending of My Little Pony Rainbow Runners, and as you can tell, the color is now finally restored.
We did it! The town has all of its glorious, harmonious, ponylicious colors back! And it's all down to the power of friendship! As for Discord, stay away from absolutely everything.
Now, if those of you probably wondering, how come we showed that particular ending scene with the different aspect ratio? Well, that's mainly because, though, Bugs, we unfortunately come across into technical issues right off the bat, because as soon as we're able to finish the final level in the game, and we're able to expect to see the ending of the entire game, well, obviously, though, we come towards the soft lock. So as a result, we have no choice but to able to exit out the game, and we have to refresh it again, which, as you can see, the entire Ponyville town has been fully restored, all thanks to the main 6, of course. So this means about the fact that we have to tell Discord not to do that ever again, or in some cases stay away out of trouble or anything else like that. So yeah, because as you can tell, that we've already managed able to complete every single stages in the entire game. This also means that unfortunately for both Rainbow Dash and Fluttershy cannot reach the maximum level. So it's kind of unfortunate though, but as you can definitely tell, if you're probably wondering, what we're supposed to do now. Well, you remember back in My Little Pony Harmony Quest, basically though, once you beat the game actually tells you you can able to actually reset the game if you wanted to, and able to start all over again from scratch. So as you can see on the options menu right there, there's the forms of reset game, and there's also some other options here and there as well, such as of course the credit sequence here and there. So as you can definitely tell, we have to awkwardly try to able to scroll up, so just in case we can able to actually see the creators who are able to actually make the entire game. So yeah, with that being said, let's get into our final thoughts of My Little Pony Rainbow Runners. And we do enjoy it, did we? Well, yeah, exactly, Bugs, especially because we are still the brony, of course, and ever since then, it's been like, what, 13 almost years since we somehow first became a brony, since, 2012 during that time? Man, time flies, especially I remember that Mario and Sonic did actually tell me about this, so, anywho though, I thought it was very enjoyable, especially it plays very similar to the forms of how it does for Super Mario Run. However, unlike Super Mario Run, on the other hand, that you can able to actually play for the game on, I would say landscape mode as opposed to portrait mode as far as I'm aware of, although I might be wrong, because it has been a very long time since I actually have last played Super Mario Run after experiencing the Donkey Kong Bonanza event, but that's besides the point. So, and also the visual style looks very, very accurate to the show. Although despite the fact that we usually turn off the background music and the voiceovers, because obviously though I found the music is very generic to me. And not only that though, the voiceover by the narrator herself just feels a bit slightly meh to me. Which I totally get because it's a target audience, but still, we just like to play the game on our own way, so that's besides the point. So, yeah, and the actual challenge, well, usually the game itself is really, really easy, but until the final stretch though, Bugs, that's where the game starts to get a bit difficult at one point if you're not paying attention to the forms of those stage hazards or anything else like that, you know? Oh yeah, you might get the idea for this for the sake of time though, Lola, but anyway. So, yeah, I hope you guys do enjoy this particular Let's Play of My Little Pony Rainbow Runners. It's been a lot of fun, and it's nice to be back in this game, especially considering for the fact that at this point in time, that we had to move on to the next game, I'm afraid. And it's also around that time, this will be the last time we're going to be playing for a My Little Pony game for our channel, because we're about to move on to the next couple of franchise in the near future. Yep, exactly. So this is me, Lola Bunny, and I am Bugs Bunny here, and we are from the likes of the Mexi Toys. Then until then, stay tuned for a next new Let's Play, not only for the sake of the forms of tomorrow, at one point, but also for next week as well, for the weekends. So we can't tell you exactly what it is just yet, and I'll see you guys then. Bye! That's all, folks.